Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. In this film, we have the introduction of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker when he's a little bit older. I think he's in his late teens, early 20s. He is being trained by Obi-Wan. He's a Padawan learner, and we go through more of the story of how he becomes Darth Vader.
Yeah, so a couple years after The Phantom Menace, we now have a slightly older Anakin. We have some familiar faces like Obi-Wan, who's now a Master Jedi. We have former Queen Amidala, who's now a senator. And we see some new bad guys like Count Dooku and some familiar bad guys like the Trade Federation bad guys, the Viceroy.
Yes, Viceroy Gunray.
Gunray.
All right, well, let's get right into what worked in Attack of the Clones. What worked for me? The visuals in this movie, specifically on Kamino and the Geonosis battle, wow, the visuals are fantastic. Kamino is so cool.
Kamino is cool. The constant storm.
Constant storm, huge waves. It's almost like Cloud City from the original trilogy, but it's in the water instead of in the air. It's so cool. Everything about the inside of the cloning facility and the Kaminoans, such a cool place, such a cool thing. One of the standout things of the movie for me is Kamino. Another thing that works for me is the new introduction to the new villain, Count Dooku, who is Palpatine's new understudy. And he's a very fascinating villain because you can almost sense that he maybe isn't totally on Palpatine's side, but he realizes that no one else is going to join him. So I think maybe he had different plans, but we don't really find that out. Yeah, so Count Dooku's really cool. Palpatine's still working in the shadows as the Chancellor Palpatine now. He gets the emergency powers. That was a silly idea.
Yeah, he planned that perfectly.
Jango Fett's a great character. You get the introduction to Boba Fett's origin story as he is the unaltered cloned son for Jango Fett. That was part of his deal to be cloned by the Kaminoans. There are scenes in this movie that I absolutely love about Anakin and his transition. You can start to see his dark side transition even before Palpatine really gets to him. Now, Palpatine is working him in the shadows in this movie. He's, oh, Anakin, they've finally given you an assignment. I think you're the most powerful Jedi. I think you're the best. So he's slowly kind of, he's
grooming, right?
Grooming him. And he's getting his little dark side tendrils in him there. It's a really cool part of the story to follow, and you can kind of see why Anakin is the way he is, because he's being altered by Palpatine, and he's also being altered by Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan is not Qui-Gon. We lost Qui-Gon in The Phantom Menace. Qui-Gon would have been more of a father figure, I think, to Anakin, and Obi-Wan's kind of more like a brother.
You get that rivalry.
Yes, there's almost like a rivalry with them instead of like a bond. They are bonded, but it's just not the same as like a father-son bond. It's like a brother, like a rivalry bond.
Yeah, it really feels like the sibling rivalry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, the visuals in this movie are sick. The lightsaber battles, sick. All the prequel lightsaber battles are absolutely amazing. I can't believe that in the sequels, they didn't even come close to the quality of lightsaber battles that we got in the prequels, and even in this one, Attack of the Clones. What worked for me, seeing Yoda in action for the first time. This is the first movie where you see Yoda's lightsaber skills. He's super old and he's hobbling around, but man, when he's got to fight, he's good. He's good. Everyone tries to run from him, but he's like, no, you're not gonna beat me. Unfortunately, he is Yoda, so he has to save his boys, so that's why he doesn't beat Dooku. But very, very cool visuals, lots of cool characters. Mace Windu's first action is in this movie as well. Super fun. There's a lot that works in this movie. I think that's gonna be the stuff that stood out for me for what worked.
What worked for me was the fact that this was a Star Wars film. I love the franchise and I love this story. I like seeing Anakin's beginning of his transformation into Darth Vader. He's starting to show some anger issues. He's fighting with Obi-Wan and he takes revenge out on the Sand People who ended up killing his mother. So all that really worked for me.
Yeah, absolutely. The Sand People, they didn't stand a chance against beginning dark side Anakin. Oh my gosh.
No, not at all. And he was mad.
And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too.
And the children, too.
It was sad. You see Anakin in Phantom Menace, as a child, and he doesn't want to leave his mom. And then when he finds his mom again, she passes away in his arms. Very, very powerful scene there. But unfortunately, power of anger to turn him to the dark side even more.
No Jedi would have done that, which is it's significant.
Oh, no. And, that's talked about in this movie. He even says when he's throwing one of his tantrums to Padme very early in the film, I'm a more powerful Jedi than even Obi-Wan is. Like, I'm better than these guys. Like, he's got this kind of superiority complex going on in the background. And I think that's what the council was worried about when he was going to be trained in the first film. And they're like, nah, he's too old. And we sensed some weird stuff about him. It was brewing, and then it exploded with his mother dying.
Yeah, I think Yoda knew when they first brought him in the first movie.
Yeah, you could tell Yoda definitely knew something was off, but he also, Yoda just kind of lets things play out, as we see a lot. He's like, the dark side, it's clouding my vision. I don't know. We'll do our best.
Yeah.
Let's move into what did not work. So what did not work for me? Star Wars is my favorite franchise of all time. The Phantom Menace is my favorite Star Wars movie. Attack of the Clones I don't revisit as often. Now, when I do a full 6-movie playthrough of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I always watch Attack of the Clones, but I don't ever rewatch Attack of the Clones by itself. And the main reason is because while this movie drags during the Naboo scenes where Anakin escorts Senator Amidala to Naboo to be safe from the people who are trying to kill her, which is funny because they tell Palpatine, like, yeah, we're going to take the Senator to Naboo. And he's like, oh, yeah, she'll be safe there. And he's like, yeah, I'm the one trying to kill her.
Yeah.
And it's just the love scenes, they were done very poorly, did not age well, very cringy. I really avoid this movie a lot, even though there's a lot of good. Something about that's never sat right with me. And, Hayden Christensen, for as great as he is, the acting in this is kind of bad at some point.
And it's disappointing because as you learn from watching the next couple of films, that part is so important to what Anakin eventually becomes.
Absolutely.
But like you said, it was just so cringy, but it had to be in there. So, what do you do?
There's a lot of bad acting and stuff. And I love Hayden Christensen, and in Revenge he's top notch. So it's like a totally different person. So that's one of my didn't work. The other things that didn't work for me, the Jedi Council just seem like they're totally outsmarted at every turn. And, I know Palpatine's all powerful and he's working in the background, but how do they not know anything that's they're like, in the Phantom Menace, they're like, the Sith. Yeah, right. And they're like, oh, I guess they are back. And this one, they're like, the Sith can, Dooku straight up tells Obi-Wan, like, what if I told you the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Sidious, is controlling the Senate? He'd be like, we would know. It's like he literally told you what's happening, and they just don't believe it.
Yeah, I didn't put a lot of thought into that, but it is interesting.
It's very interesting. Another thing that didn't work for me was a lot of the CGI characters are blended with the real characters. Like, there'll be a CGI guy saying something, then it'll go over to guys that are real and practical effect things, and then you're like, what? Is this the same movie?
Yeah.
So that's about the only things I had that didn't work.
What didn't work for me was the CGI characters. I said this about the first one. I didn't like them. Like you said, some of them felt out of place. I would say for the Yoda fight, he's moving real fast and it's kind of blurry. They got away with it. That looked good. But every other Yoda scene, I have no idea why you wouldn't just use a practical.
Yeah.
It looked a lot better to me. Every time Yoda came on the screen, it was just off-putting a little bit. Also, like you said, the love stuff was really boring. Lines felt really forced, and I just didn't believe it.
Yeah, Padme's like, ew, get away from me. And then she's like, actually, yeah, I'm into this.
Like a minute later. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, man.
And I know because I've seen all the Star Wars that you need that in the story. So I'm just sitting there looking around at anything but the screen in those scenes. So
it's pivotal to the story, but man, it could have probably done it better.
That was the weakest part of this movie. Also, when Yoda does confront Count Dooku, before they fought with the lightsabers, they have this sort of, I'm going to pull stuff off the wall and throw at you battle. And it was just such a slow pace. It felt like a turn-based video game.
Yeah.
Count Dooku throws something, and then it's like 3 or 4 seconds, and then Yoda finds something to throw and throws it at him, and
it almost felt like a little kid showing their parent like a new thing they can do.
With the Force.
Because Dooku's like, oh, I'm dark side now. Check this out, lightning. And then Yoda's like, okay. And he's like, oh, stuff from the ceiling. And he's like,
It was all cool stuff, but it should have been faster. One thing flies, Yoda dodges it, and then Yoda throws a thing. A lot quicker, even simultaneously. Would have felt a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what didn't work for me.
Okay. All right. Well, standout moments. My favorite moment in this film is 100% going to be Obi-Wan versus Jango Fett on Kamino, and the following starship chase where he follows him to Geonosis. So freaking cool. Obi-Wan and Jango Fett. Jango's using his rocket, his booster pack. He's flying all around. He's shooting, and then Obi-Wan's blocking with his lightsaber. Jango catches his lightsaber with his hook or. And they're like, it's raining, it's totally slick, and they're both falling all over the place. I love that. And then they're beating each other up when they don't have their weapons.
It's a cool fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the starship chase. Obi-Wan's in his Jedi starfighter. He's chasing down Jango's ship. Slave One, I think it's called. Yeah. Oh, it's so cool. So yeah, at the end of the fight on Kamino, Obi-Wan throws a little tracker device onto Jango's ship, and then he chases him through the asteroid field. And oh man, when he drops the pulse cannon things and they explode and it makes that really cool sound. Oh, it's so awesome. That was my favorite sequence of this film for sure.
And then Obi-Wan lets the truth slip out. You hear him say, "This is why I hate flying." You remember from the beginning.
Yeah.
He argued with Anakin. He said,
I hate flying.
I don't hate flying. I just don't like flying like this. And then finally the truth comes out. This is why I hate flying.
Yep. Yeah, no, that was a really cool sequence. I really enjoyed it.
All right, so my standout moment was the battle on Geonosis with all the clone troopers and all the droids fighting each other. When they shot the Trade Federation ship out of the sky when it was trying to take off, and it fell back down and created a huge dust storm, and you see the laser gun, like all the flashes from the laser gun shooting, and you just see shadowy figures fighting each other. That was so awesome.
Super cool. That's a great scene.
Cool. And the whole scene was cool, coming out of the failed attempted execution, and then the Jedi battle, and then you have the Geonosis battle, and then it leads to the big lightsaber fight at the end. That was my standout moment in this movie.
Yeah, there's a couple of scenes that I think I could have picked, and that would have been one of them. Absolutely.
In this movie, I timed the total amount of time that a lightsaber was activated on screen. The total time that the lightsabers were activated in this film was 12 minutes and 56 seconds. At a runtime of 142 minutes for the whole movie, that comes out to 9.1% of the film. So we have an increase from the first film. So that's good. I like that. Also, I wanted to time how often Jar Jar Binks was on the screen. If you remember,
the Gungan vision.
The Gungan vision. If you remember from our review of the first Star Wars film, I don't like Jar Jar. So I was curious. I wanted to see how often he was actually on the screen. And I clocked him in at 2 minutes and 50 seconds, which is just under 2% of the whole film. And that to me is good.
He took a big back seat in this movie, which I know if you're not a fan of Jar Jar, that's a good thing.
We're seeing a decrease in Jar Jar time. So that alone stood out for me.
And before we give my final score, I always like to add a little funny moment. My favorite is just one line. It's when Obi-Wan is talking to the Kaminoans, and they're like, yeah, we were expecting you. Like, don't you want to see this grand army we've built for you? And he's like, well, that's why I'm here.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Fantastic. Ewan McGregor is the best Obi-Wan that there'll ever be.
Anytime I hear someone say that's why I'm here in any context, I picture that scene.
Me too. Yep. Every time. All right. Final score. Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. I'm going to give it the same score that I gave Kung Pao. I'm giving this movie a 2. And the reason I'm giving this movie a 2 is because I never want to rewatch it. I know it's pivotal to the story and I love Star Wars so much. It's just okay to me. That's as much as I can do.
That's fair. All right, man. So my score for this film is going to be the same that I gave The Phantom Menace, and that's going to be a 3. This movie is good. There are some parts that drag it down. There are some animations that are dated now, and even when they weren't dated, didn't look good. But overall, it's a good, pivotal kind of story through the whole canon, and for that reason, I'm going to give it a 3.
So a 2 and a 3 combined, that's a 5. So it's middle of the road. That's about right. All right, so that's been our review of Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. Let us know what you thought down in the comments. Give us a subscribe if you want to help us out. It helps us out a lot, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoyed our review of this movie. Let us know in the comments, what did you think of the movie? Drop your score on our 1 to 5 scale and tell us if you agree or disagree with our take. Also, if you have a movie suggestion, go ahead and put it in the comments. We read every comment. We love getting the community's ideas. If you're new here, please subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Turn on the notifications, hit the bell, and don't miss our next No BS short review. Thanks again for hanging out with the S2S Film Bros, and we'll see you next time.